Turns out, a supernova explosion affected the planet, causing a global ice age. And using my position as the warehouse manager of a supermarket, I have hoarded enough supplies to last 2 years. Who knew the girl would break into my house with a group of neighbors and steal all my food? To ration the food, they decide to start eating me. The girl even gleefully admits that she tricked me into opening the door. She wants to take one of my thighs. In extreme despair, I would rather die. But when I'd opened my eyes again, I've been reborn 3 months before the global freeze. In my new life, I swear never to be a bootlicker again. And I want to repay the pain in my previous life thousandfold. But the immediate priority is to hoard enough supplies before the end of the world and build a sturdy, safe house. Just as I'm considering where to start, a bright light flashes before my eyes. In the next second, I'm in a strange space. Looking at this otherworldly place, a bold idea pops into my head. If I could move an entire Walmart here, I would never have to worry about food and drink for 10 lifetimes. Just then, my stomach rumbles. Thinking about all the good things I won't be able to eat after the apocalypse, I head to the best restaurant in the city. A meal cost me $50,000. In the apocalypse, even a bowl of instant noodles can cost a life. It won't be easy to eat your fill then. This scene is witnessed by the girl I've been infatuated with for 18 years. A girlfriend standing beside her looks surprised. Fang Yuking, you're so lucky. The bootlicker chasing you turns out to be a rich second generation in disguise. Fang Yuking naturally wouldn't miss this opportunity and comes up to chat. Zhang Yi, what a coincidence. Hearing this, I laugh coldly inside. In my last life, I was tricked by her pretending to be pure and innocent. In the end, I became soup in her bowl. Although at this moment I really want to kill this bitch, it would also land me in jail. I must wait until the end of the world. Immediately, I pull out my bank card and ask them if they want to go shopping at the supermarket, thinking to use these two as my free labor. As expected, they happily agree. Sure, we're neighbors. We can help you carry a bit. Who knew I would buy 2 full shopping carts and throw them to the two? Free labor shouldn't go to waste. This leaves the girlfriend looking displeased. You're a big man, aren't you going to do any of the work? Upon hearing this, Fang Yuking hastily chuckles. I've done you a big favor today, you owe us a big meal. Hearing this, I laugh coldly inside. Of course I'll have to treat you too well. When the extreme cold comes, not one of you will be able to run away. Just then, Auntie Lin from the neighborhood committee walks up with her grandson. Little Zhang, you can't eat all this by yourself. How about sharing some with Auntie Lin? After she says this, her 2-year-old grandson starts taking things from my shopping cart. I grab it back right away. Sorry, I don't even have enough for myself. Upon seeing this, the child immediately started making a fuss. Big villain, give it back to me or I will kill you, he shouted. In response, I coldly said, dare to say that again, believe it or not, I'll slap you to death. This yell made the child cry immediately. However, Auntie Lin wouldn't back down. What are you doing, a grown man haggling with a kid? I'll buy this box. I'll transfer you the money later. Stop acting like we're trying to take advantage of you. I immediately displayed my payment QR code, always saying later, either pay me now or go to the supermarket yourself. This move made Auntie Lin very angry. Once I got back home, Fang Yuking winked at me. Don't forget to treat us, okay? After I sent the two of them away, I stored all the purchased food in the alternate space. Next, I had to build an impenetrable steel fortress with heating devices and medical supplies. It would be great if I could get some firearms, but I'm not in a hurry. There are still 90 days until the Ice Age. During this time, I must sell off my property as quickly as possible. With money, I can always get what I need. The next morning, I came to the alternate space to check the freshness of the food. Although I can't store live creatures, the food remains as fresh as when I bought it. I took out my phone and contacted the best local restaurant and booked 500 tables of meals. I said I wanted to host a banquet for 3 days and 3 nights, but the hotel manager said the cost for 500 tables of food and drink will not be less than $1 million, and a deposit of $200,000 is needed in advance. Without any hesitation, I transferred $200,000 over. Then I found my property certificate and went to the bank to mortgage it. After the apocalypse, money will become useless waste paper, but mortgaging the property and adding my own savings is only enough to build my safe house. I need more funds to purchase weapons and supplies. As I was thinking about how to get more money, a man in a suit walked up to me and said, "Bro, do you need money?" I was delighted. Money is coming when I need it. The man in the suit quickly brought me to another man. The man didn't beat around the bush and asked how much I wanted to borrow, but the interest rate would be a bit high. Upon hearing this, I rubbed my hands together. It doesn't matter if the interest is high. The main thing is to raise the money as soon as possible. So I mortgaged the house that I had just mortgaged and my Mercedes-Benz as well. After the transaction, both parties felt that they had made a good deal. I mortgaged a house worth $5 million and a car worth $300,000 for $4 million. In the end, I must pay them 7 million back. But I also think they are nice people just giving away money for me to spend. Then I came to the most famous War Dragon security company. In my previous life, a second-generation rich guy spent $2 billion to build a top-level safe house. As a result, that rich guy directly became the emperor in the apocalypse. At this time, a business manager came over and asked if I needed any help. I quickly walked up and expressed my idea, indicating that I wanted to build a safe house for the apocalypse. Hearing this, the business manager didn't say much and directly presented me with several plans for me to choose from. However, I was not satisfied with the plans above. Then I stated that the house should be reinforced with aviation materials, the balcony glass should use the highest strength bulletproof glass and add an air filtration system and a 360-degree no blind spot monitoring system. The front door should be made of the same material as the bank's anti-theft door. And I asked the manager to find a way to get some guns. After seeing my requirements, the business manager was surprised. With these renovations and some weapons, this would be a fortress. The final plan required $8 million. After I paid the deposit, I asked them to start work immediately and said that the balance would be paid within 3 months. Next, I need to get some weapons for self-defense. I called the owner of a hunting club I know and got a few sets of crossbows as weapons from him. Just then, the 500 tables of banquet I ordered also arrived in batches by truck. This attracted quite a few people from the neighborhood. This is the delivery truck from a 5-star hotel. These several trucks of food would cost at least $1 million or so. After a while, the food for 500 tables filled my entire house. Without wasting any words, I put them all into the otherworldly space. With all these delicious foods, plus the ingredients I had ordered before, I basically don't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of my life. The next day, the security company's workers came to start building the safe house. This scene attracted quite a few neighbors' attention, who ridiculed me, asking if I had taken the wrong medication. But I didn't care. When the end comes, you'll know who the real joke is. Then I found manager Zhou from the company, and I bought a part of the warehouse's supplies at twice the market price. Next is to transport these things home little by little. My recent hoarding activities also attracted the attention of Fang Yuking. She then asked if something was going to happen recently, even saying that she had been thinking about me lately. As for this bitch's fake concern, I didn't want to respond at all. This really pissed Fang Yuking off. Zhang Yi, this bootlicker, dares to ignore me, but she was still curious about my sudden hoarding. However, her best friend just scoffed. If something big is happening, the country will notify us. Just try your best to catch Zhang Yi, this bootlicker. Half a month later, my safe house was successfully built. To ensure the employer's safety, the manager also installed a surveillance system on each floor. I was very satisfied with this. Next is to wait for my last batch of supplies to arrive. Soon, several trucks of drinking water arrived in succession. 3 days before the advent of the extreme cold end days, I specifically went back to the warehouse and invited all my colleagues for a cup of milk tea. After they drank it, everyone fainted. To move the entire Walmart warehouse with peace of mind, I had already put sleeping pills in the milk tea in advance. After shutting down the surveillance equipment, I went to the warehouse and immediately put all the rows of goods into the otherworldly space. With the help of the otherworldly space, I quickly emptied the entire warehouse. Just then, a box in the corner caught my attention. When I opened it, it was the cold-resistant tech product that was stocked a few days ago. It was said to be able to withstand temperatures of -100 degrees. With these supplies, even if facing the coldest ice age, I have nothing to fear. To prevent exposure, I also directly gave myself a dose of sleeping water, and then laid down on my colleague and fell asleep. 2.5 hours later, I was awakened by my colleague. "Boss, something crazy has happened. Our warehouse has been emptied." Hearing this, I pretended to be surprised and jumped up. "What the hell?" Then, looking at the empty warehouse, I pretended to be upset and said, "What happened? How are all the supplies in the warehouse gone?" At this time, the manager called, inquiring about the loss of the warehouse supplies. Knowing that the whole warehouse was emptied all at once, the manager immediately cursed. "How is this possible? Are you a mole and stealing for yourself?" I gave an awkward smile. "Manager, what do you take me for? Besides, I'm not that capable. I think we better report to the higher department as soon as possible, so as not to delay the investigation time." After hanging up the phone, I quickly comforted my colleagues. "Everyone, don't be afraid. We who are upright are not afraid of crooked shadows." Soon, all the colleagues on duty and I were called to the police station for questioning. But nothing could be found out after the questioning. Then the cop told us not to leave Tianhai City rashly in order to cooperate with the follow-up investigation. Soon this incident made the news in Tianhai City. No one could believe that hundreds of square meters of supplies disappeared without a trace in less than 3 hours. Just then, it suddenly started snowing heavily in the sky. I knew this was a prelude to the extreme cold. so I hurried home. 3 days later, the shockwave from a supernova explosion swept across the globe. This brought about a devastating disaster to the entire planet. The temperature began to plummet overnight. Looking at the heavy snow outside the window, I remained calm. What was destined to come eventually came. But at this time, the homeowner group became lively. After all, it was the first time to see such heavy snow in the south. I looked at all this with a calm face. Perhaps for many people, this might be the first time they saw snow, and it could also be the last. In my past life, a heavy snow lasted a full 3 months, and the temperature would get lower and lower, causing many people who had not stocked up on food in advance to freeze to death in this winter. On the second day of the extreme cold weather, the heavy snow at the entrance of the residential area had piled up to half a person's height. Even if people indoors turned the air conditioning to the maximum, they still shivered from the cold. But I, who had prepared various heating equipment in advance, was sleeping soundly. But just then, I was suddenly awakened by a ring on the phone. It was a call from the bitch Fang Yuking. She asked cheerfully, "Zhang Yi, did you know about the temperature drop when you stocked up on supplies? You didn't even tell me, and now I'm freezing." Hearing this, I scoffed and directly hung up the phone. This pissed off Fang Yuking on the other side. This bootlicker, he dares to hang up on me. Then she shamelessly texted me asking for food. After reading it, I laughed. She still wants to treat me like a bootlicker, huh? I directly sent her a picture of steak with wine. Fang Yuking recognized briefly that this was a top-tier Wagyu beef and a bottle of wine worth 100,000. She immediately said that she also wanted to eat steak and drink wine. After hearing this, I laughed. If you want to eat, go buy it yourself at the supermarket. After seeing my message, Fang Yuking was furious. But after thinking about it, she calmed down. After all, she must hook me, the fish, and I, full and bored, started watching TV. Just then, the tablet monitoring the building suddenly made a noise. I saw Auntie Lin on the screen solemnly saying, "Everyone, don't panic and scramble for supplies. This extreme weather will last at most 2 or 3 days. Our neighborhood committee will help everyone through this. Rushing for supplies will only lead to price increases. If anyone dares to hoard supplies, I will report to the authorities." But just then, a voice sounded behind them. "Auntie Lin, how can you determine that this heavy snow will not last long? You're blocking everyone from going out to buy things. Will you be responsible if something happens?" Hearing this, the surrounding homeowners also echoed, "If we don't hoard supplies now, will you be responsible if we run out of food later?" Auntie Lin quickly stated that the neighborhood committee would take responsibility for this matter. Then she pointed at me and cursed, "Zhang Yi, don't stir up trouble here. This is an illegal act." But I didn't bother to deal with her and turned around to go back to my super safe house. A week passed quickly, but the heavy snow outside showed no signs of stopping. I was having fun at home as usual. Suddenly, a message came in on my phone. I saw Auntie Lin in the group chat calling me out by name to go shovel snow. I didn't even think about it and directly refused her. With such heavy snow falling, we'd be shoveling slower than it's falling. Clearly, Auntie Lin was just trying to pick a fight. This got her gnashing her teeth in anger. Then Auntie Lin commanded in the name of the neighborhood committee, "Zhang Yi, you must go out and shovel snow. Whoever dares to lead the opposition will certainly be dealt with by the organization after the snow disaster ends." Seeing this, I said coldly, such a show of authority. Then I quickly typed a bunch of text and sent it out. "How come I don't see you calling out the rich kids in the neighborhood, just picking on us honest people? Auntie Lin, since you're so capable, why don't you go ask Manhwa and Chen Zhenghao to shovel the snow? Chen Zhenghao is the boss of a construction project. He has hundreds of people under him. And Xu Hao is a well-connected rich kid. In my past life, these two guys broke into my house and took all my food." Hearing what I said, other people also started making a commotion in the homeowner group. "Zhang Yi is right. If you dare, go ask them." Seeing the messages, Auntie Lin was immediately cursing. Clearly, my words made it hard for her to step down. So she would only grit her teeth and call out the two in the group to shovel snow together. Chen Zhenghao, seeing the message, immediately started cursing, "Are you fucking crazy? I'll kill you if you bother me again." Xu Hao also echoed, "What a big idiot, taking the homeowner's money and acting high and mighty every day. Now you really think you're the boss. I don't even bother to deal with you poor ghosts." Stating this message, Auntie Lin was so angry that she didn't dare to say a word, but directly pointed the finger at me. "Zhang Yi, you're really trying to make trouble for me, aren't you? You'll be satisfied if no one goes out to shovel snow, won't you?" I picked up my phone, turned on the voice message, and scoffed. "Did you come to me to seek a sense of existence after being scolded by someone else? Believe it or not, if you talk any more nonsense, I'll kill you." Seeing my serious tone, Auntie Lin immediately backed down. Just then, a loud bang came from my front door. I heard Chen Zhenghao outside yelling, "Zhang Yi, weren't you cocky in the group chat just now?" Believe it or not, I'll kill you. At these words, I picked up my crossbow and went to the door. It's not certain yet who's going to kill whom. I shot him directly through the shin with an arrow. Injured, Chen Zhenghao fell to the ground, wailing incessantly. You never imagined that I, a seemingly honest person, would be so ruthless when I took action. Little did he know that this was only the first step of my revenge. With temperatures now at minus 100 degrees, Chen Zhenghao's leg, which had been shot through, was surely not going to be saved. If not treated in time, he could only die slowly in this freezing weather. Chen Zhenghao, bearing the severe pain, staggered into the elevator. He could never have imagined, having only met me a few times, that I wanted to kill him directly. This realization made Chen Zhenghao shudder with fear, so he immediately took out his phone and dialed the emergency number. However, the whole city was already covered in heavy snow, and the hospital's ambulance simply couldn't make it. Left with no choice, Chen Zhenghao could only go home and treat his wound himself. Fortunately, the weather was freezing cold, and his foot was almost numb from the cold. Then, with a grim determination, Chen Zhenghao pulled the arrow out. Then he took out his phone again and made a threat in the homeowner group, Zhang Yi. Wait for me. Watch me kill you. Facing his threat, I naturally wasn't afraid and responded confidently, keep talking and I'll disable your remaining 2 legs. This scene stunned the onlookers in the group chat, after all, as the area tyrant, Chen Zhenghao. This was the first time someone dared to confront him directly. Soon he picked up the phone and summoned his hundreds of followers. In no time, a swarm of followers, each holding their own weapon, rushed over in grandeur. After learning about what had happened, the leading bald guy came to my door with his followers. You offended our bro Hao. Today will be your death anniversary. With that, he slashed directly at the door. But the next second, his mash sheet was flung away. This scared the gangsters out of their wits. How many people had this kid offended? His home was fortified stronger than a turtle's shell. Watching the scene from my security camera, I laughed with disdain. Are you guys hungry? Try harder. Seeing the bunch outside the house swearing and fuming, I suddenly had an idea. Immediately, I took a water hose and connected it to the kitchen faucet. Why are you so angry? Let me cool you down. The gangsters outside saw the door lock suddenly open and were instantly alert. Upon realizing it wasn't an arrow, they had a good laugh. Who would have thought that the next second, the hose would spurt out cold water? Soon a bunch of them fell to the ground frozen. Only 3 managed to escape. Seeing the scene, I was quite pleased. In this freezing weather, cold water is more lethal than any weapon. On the other side, the 3 little guys who escaped were huddled together, shivering. Chen Zhenghao looked at them and yelled, "What happened? How did you guys, a whole group, not manage to bring a small brat?" Hearing this, the 3 hastily explained Zhang Yi was too cunning. He turned the front door into a burglar-proof steel door. We chopped for a long time and only scratched some paint off. The key was he sprayed us with cold water. Upon hearing this, Chen Zhenghao's face immediately darkened. No wonder the door felt a bit hard just now. But don't worry, I don't believe this kid can hide in there forever. Send a few men to keep watch at his door day and night. When he dares to show his face, tear him to pieces. Little did he know the food stored in my house, not to mention for a lifetime. Even if it were for 10 lifetimes, it wouldn't run out. On the other side, Uncle Yu was leading a few people to clear the snow from the entrance of the residential area, planning to dig a path to the supermarket to replenish food. However, they couldn't shovel as fast as the snow fell. After a while, they gave up and prepared to go back. Watching this scene, I sighed. Human power is simply no match for a disaster of this scale. Although the TV is actively reporting to reassure all citizens that the country is launching a final offensive against the snow disaster, only I know that 90% of all organisms globally will freeze to death in this snow disaster. My crush of 18 years was the first to send me a greeting. Zhang Yi, are you okay? Seeing the message, I couldn't help but laugh. If it wasn't for her eating my most important part of my previous life, I would have still seen her as a pure lotus. So I replied indifferently, I'm fine. Then Fang Yuking shamelessly asked me for something to eat, saying she would return the favor later. Faced with my crush's request, I agreed without hesitation and sent her a picture of a lobster to whet her appetite, adding with a mocking tone, I'm already full. Seeing this, Fang Yuking got angry and decided to kick me out of her pond. At this time, her bitchy best friend sent me a message, why are you so dumb? Fang Yuking is really angry right now. Seeing the message, I laughed again. They're really good at acting when playing good cop, the other bad cop, huh? The bitchy best friend didn't give up and continued, the snow can't last that long. Starve for a few meals and seduce Fang Yuking first, wouldn't that be a big win? Regarding this, I ignored her disdainfully and simply responded with a "oh." This response infuriated her. How did this bootlicker suddenly become enlightened? Fang Yuking could only sigh. Why did my attitude towards her undergo such a drastic 180-degree change? At this point, her bitchy best friend suggested, if we lose one bootlicker, so be it. Don't we still have others? Hearing this, Fang Yuking's eyes lit up, and she immediately called other bootlickers. Soon, Zhao Peng hurried over with large and small bags of supplies, claiming that this was all the food he had left. Hearing this, Fang Yuking was touched and immediately sent him a good person card. Zhao Peng, you're a really good person. Before Zhao Peng could express his loyalty, her bitchy best friend promptly closed the door. In no time, 3 days had passed, but the heavy snow was still falling nonstop. Munching on a chicken leg and looking at the time on my phone, I thought the real drama is about to begin. The next moment, the entire neighborhood plunged into darkness. Soon, neighbors began stepping out of their homes, asking each other whether they had electricity. Now, with water and electricity cut off and air conditioning no longer functioning, it was genuinely getting cold enough to kill. After finishing my chicken, I picked my teeth and then turned on a generator I had prepared in advance. I was fortunate to have died early in my past life, otherwise I too would be freezing like the rest of them. At this moment, Auntie Lin from the neighborhood committee was shivering while holding her grandson. She never expected the snow to last so long. A message came into the neighborhood group chat. They say this is a once-in-100,000 years global blizzard. We might be on the brink of a mass extinction event. Several major cities in the country have already been overrun. Everyone must stockpile more supplies. After reading the message, Auntie Lin was shocked. She never imagined the snow disaster would be this serious. At that moment, she hatched a plan. She must trick everyone into giving her their food before they receive the news. So Auntie Lin promptly posted a message in the owners group. Everyone, don't worry. This disaster is temporary. Workers are currently repairing the water and power outage. The officials have issued an order. Due to these extraordinary circumstances, the neighborhood committee will conduct unified management of all property owners. Anyone who does not cooperate will be arrested and interrogated by the police. Upon seeing the message, Chen Zhenghao began to curse in dissatisfaction. Although he had a lot of underlings, he dared not confront the police. Meanwhile, Auntie Lin continued in the group chat. Due to the severe impact of the blizzard on everyone's lives, the neighborhood committee has decided to collect supplies from each owner and distribute them uniformly to help us all get through this crisis. On seeing the message, I couldn't help but laugh. It was the same old trick as in my previous life. Then Auntie Lin sent me a private message. Little Zhang, you usually work in a warehouse and must have hoarded a lot of food, right? Besides, you bought 3 truckloads of stuff last time. Everyone is in trouble now, and it's your turn to do your part. After the crisis, we will certainly repay you. On hearing this, I chuckled coldly. You old hag, your hands were also dirty in my death in the previous life. Just you wait. I immediately replied with a voice message. That's great. I just ran out of supplies at home. Auntie Lin, when you collect the supplies, make sure you share some with me. Seeing my message almost made her explode. This kid had hoarded several truckloads of supplies. How could he possibly run out so soon? Realizing that she and her grandson were depending on my supplies, Auntie Lin swallowed her anger and kindly replied, Little Zhang, this is an order from the organization. You must comply. Once the snow disaster is over, I will definitely report your good deeds to the organization. On seeing her message, I laughed again. If I hadn't died early in my previous life, I might have believed her lies. So I picked my teeth and replied, Auntie, I'm not lying to you. I really don't have anything to eat at home. Why don't you take the lead and send me a few packets of instant noodles first? Upon hearing this, Auntie Lin could no longer restrain herself and furiously retorted, Zhang Yi, refusing to hand over your supplies is the same as opposing the organization. I will definitely report you to the organization for disciplinary action. I mocked her. You represent the organization. You're not even a civil servant, not to mention a public institution staff. Why don't you send to heaven? It's okay for you to show off normally, but now that things are like this, you still think you're so important. As soon as I said this, it made Auntie Lin so angry that she smashed her old-fashioned phone. This little brat dares to talk to me like that. After all, I'm a leader in the community. After failing to get any advantage from me, Auntie Lin turned her attention to other homeowners, thinking it doesn't matter who I can deceive as long as I can deceive some. 2 days quickly passed. Under Auntie Lin's coaxing, quite a few homeowners had actually sent their supplies to her home. Looking at this scene, I sneered in my heart. What a bunch of fools believing in some great Samaritan in this post-apocalyptic world. Now the whole world has plunged into chaos. Without enough supplies, they could only wait to die. Soon, many homeowners began to tag Auntie Lin in the group chat. Wasn't it said that the supplies would be distributed evenly? We've run out of food at home. Start distributing some to us. But Auntie Lin merely scoffed at the messages. What a bunch of idiots. These supplies were obtained through my hard work. How could I possibly give them away so easily? Just then, her phone rang. Seeing that it was Chen Zhenghao, She broke out in a cold sweat. What does he want with me? On the other end of the line, Chen Zhenghao said coldly, Auntie Lin, you have quite a method. You've actually deceived everyone's supplies into your home. Hearing this, Auntie Lin feigned innocence, saying it was the arrangement of the community committee and she was just doing her duty. Chen Zhenghao laughed, that's perfect. Over 10 of us here are waiting for you to distribute the supplies. Hearing this, Auntie Lin coughed lightly. These supplies haven't been sorted out yet. Some homeowners haven't handed in their supplies. We can't start distributing them yet. The next second, the area tyrant Chen Zhenghao, along with his underlings, burst into her house. Seeing this, Auntie Lin's face turned pale. How dare you break into a civilian house? Is there no law anymore? To which Chen Zhenghao responded with a slap, and you think you've been lawful, deceiving everyone's supplies? Today, I'll act in the name of justice. Meanwhile, I watched the scene on the surveillance, cheerfully eating a sausage. The dogfight was finally about to begin. At that moment, I had a brilliant idea. If watching alone is fun, sharing it with others would be even better. With a love for drama, I immediately posted the surveillance video in the homeowners group chat. Surely, everyone's reaction to this would be quite amusing. On the other side, Chen Zhenghao and his gang had already broken into Auntie Lin's house, instructing his subordinates to take away all the food, not leaving a single thing behind. Hearing this, Auntie Lin hurriedly clung to Chen Zhenghao's leg. You can't take everything. Some of the supplies here are where I hoarded myself. Without these supplies, how would my grandson and I survive? Chen Zhenghao let out a cold laugh. That's none of my business. Get out of here. With that, he directly kicked Auntie Lin away. Her grandson was stunned by this scene and then picked up a small knife to avenge his grandmother. He managed to accurately stab one of the punks, a yellow hair, in the butt. The severe pain made him forget about moving things and he kicked the boy away in response. Witnessing this, the other thugs burst out laughing. Since when did yellow hair learn to kick? He actually managed to kick this little brat away. Despite the intense pain in his butt, yellow hair played along. How cool am I, right? Someone should have recorded that moment. Auntie Lin fell in front of her grandson, little who, my dear grandson. But Chen Zhenghao, watching this scene, showed no sympathy. Instead, he sneered, this is what you get for deceiving us, your neighbors. We're just dispensing justice. On the other side, many homeowners watching this scene also clapped and cheered, ha ha ha, serves the big liar right. Such thunderous methods are necessary to deal with swindlers like her. Without Bro Hao, we'd be helpless against this kind of rogue. Seeing these messages, I laughed. You people really don't understand the crux of the problem. Today, Chen Zhenghao can break into Auntie Lin's house. Tomorrow, he could break into yours. But all this has nothing to do with me. My 2-meter-thick steel door wouldn't yield even if you came with a tank. Soon, Auntie Lin was pleading for help in the homeowner group. Does anyone have hemostatic drugs, anti-shock medications, antibiotics? My grandson was injured by Chen Zhenghao. Dr. Zhu needs these medications urgently for surgery. Upon hearing this, my eyes lit up. Dr. Zhu Kier was a savior-like figure in the previous world. Fortunately, we have neighborhood Dr. Zhu Kier here to save her grandson's life for now. At this point, Auntie Lin was pleading continuously in the homeowner group for medicine, promising to kowtow in gratitude to anyone willing to provide it. However, this only resulted in mockery from many homeowners. So you plan to kowtow in a chat group, Dr. Zhao, a kind-hearted beauty, saved your grandson. Why should we help you? After deceiving us of our supplies, you still have the audacity to ask for our help. Seeing this, I sighed. This was karma for Auntie Lin. Furthermore, the snowstorm had been going on for over a week, and the outside was practically paralyzed. Even if the boy was saved, how long could everyone last without food? At this point, the snow outside the community had almost buried up to the first floor. Many people had already heard from the news that this was a global snowstorm that occurs once every 100,000 years. No one knew what this snow disaster would turn into. Soon a week passed in a flash, and the whole world was almost buried in the snowstorm. In some cities in the north, the temperature had even dropped to negative 100 degrees Celsius. Many residents who tried to evacuate southwards ended up freezing to death on the road. In the homeowner group, Auntie Lin began to play the morality card again. My dear grandson has been hungry for 2 days. He's just a child. Are you really going to stand by and watch him die? She stated that she was willing to pay a high price for supplies. Seeing this, the homeowners started to inflate the prices, and the last pack of instant noodles was even sold for $2,000. Seeing this, I laughed. These people are not taking the apocalypse seriously. In a little while, you'll think paper money is too hard even to use as toilet paper. As a second-generation rich kid with some business acumen, Kazuhao started to hoard supplies at a high price. It was very clear that money in this apocalyptic world would become as useless as waste paper. He had to get rid of it while it was still useful. At this time, a single mother in the group sent out a plea for help, stating that she and her daughter were about to starve to death, hoping that everyone could help her. Seeing this, I laughed. In the past life, this woman and her daughter managed to survive for a long time. This Shagalami is not as simple as she seems. 10 days passed quickly, and as usual, I was enjoying my time at home. At this moment, the phone on the table rang. Seeing the caller ID, I let out a cold laugh. This bitch finally couldn't stand it anymore, so I opened the video chat and sarcastically said, "You all look thinner after not seeing each other for a while." Behind me, the sight of food made the two people drool. "Why do you still have so much food in your house, Zhang Yi? Is it because you hoarded it last time? And with this weather of negative 100 degrees, why are you sweating?" Upon hearing this, I smiled. "Oh, this? I installed a fireplace at home. This thing is very warm. I feel like going for a run outside." Upon hearing this, Fang Yuking immediately tried to butter up to me. "Brother Zhang Yi, you're so awesome. You're so well prepared. Could you let Fang Yuking come over and take a shower?" Inside, I scoffed. Did they still take me for an old lecher? So without a second thought, I rejected her invitation, even taunting her. "With the temperature at negative 100 degrees, make sure to keep warm." Fang Yuking was instantly infuriated at my words. "Zhang Yi, don't go too far. We are freezing and starving. It's fine if you don't help, but don't make sarcastic comments." Hearing this, I laughed. "You still think I'm an easy target? If you want food, go find your rich kid. Besides, we're not related. Why should I help you?" With that, I stylishly ended the video call. On the other side, Fang Yuking was already furious. She never thought that I would be on the path of a bootlicker's counterattack. At this moment, her best friend chimed in with some fair words. "Zhang Yi is quite good. It's you who missed the opportunity. Otherwise, we could be enjoying the things at Zhang Yi's house right now. He's much stronger than that so-called rich second generation. If I had known you would fail, I would have gone for it myself. Now everything has been revealed and we end up with nothing." At this, Fang Yuking was already furious. "Lin Caning, you bitch, still speaking in favor of Zhang Yi. I'll kill you." Soon the two bitches were wrestling on the bed. Meanwhile, the government, seeing that they could no longer hide the news of the snow disaster, issued an announcement on television. In order to meet everyone's electricity needs, power supply would be provided from 1 to 2 o'clock every day, but the voltage would only be enough for low-power appliances. Currently, all major power plants are shut down and power is scarce. Everyone is encouraged to use electricity sparingly to prevent large-scale power outages. Soon, the homeowner group was lively again. "Did you see the news? Turns out the rumors online are true." Just as everyone was on edge, suddenly someone offered to sell instant noodles. $5,000 a pack. Any takers? Seeing this, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry.
Thank you, friends, for joining us on this exciting adventure in the world of Manhwa in today's Manhwa recap. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on every exciting episode.